How would you feel if you live in a society where it is a crime to feel emotions, and every citizen of the state is under constant surveillance by the state security apparatus to ensure that no one is feeling any emotion? Today we're going to look into a story where a man who was appointed by the state to enforce its tyrannic rule revolts against the state itself. A war broke out in the beginning of the 21st century, the Third World War. It almost destroyed the whole humanity. Only a handful of people survived the horrors of that war. So, when the war ended, those who survived figured out that they should prevent human beings from feeling anything. That way, there would be no Fourth World War, because a Fourth World War would wipe out mankind completely. So they created a new city-state called Libya, where citizens are forbidden to feel any emotions. They created a powerful army to destroy any opposition to their policy, and the army is led by an elite warrior monk class, the Grammaton cleric. This monks led the army of Libya and find out the opposition groups of the Libya state and execute them without any trial. After 70 years of war against the oppositions by the clerics, only a little resistance remains in the world, and the clerics are hell-bent to eliminate them once and for all. At the beginning of the story, a company of resistance groups are hiding in a deserted building. Suddenly, the cops attack the building and starts shooting from all directions. Then the SWAT team arrives and assaults the building. In the end, only 20 resistance fighters hide in a chamber, and 2 senior clerics of the first class, John Preston and Errol Partridge, arrive at the building and take charge of the assault from the SWAT commander. John Preston eliminates all of the fighters by using a superior gunfighting technique, the gun kata. After the firefight, the clerics find out the original copy of Mona Lisa and destroy it. As no form of art, music, painting, books, films, etc. is not allowed by Libya. After they have executed their mission successfully outside the Libya city area, the 2 clerics travel back to their city. John is summoned to the headquarters of the clerics by Vice Consul Dupont of the Third Conciliatory of the Tetragrammaton, the voice of Father. In Libya, the city-state is governed by a council of 10 members, and Father is the council leader. Dupont is the heir apparent of Father. Dupont compliments John that he is a prodigy, but also interrogates him about his wife, Viviana Preston, who was a sense offender. Sense offenders are those who start feeling. As in Libya, every citizen must take a medication called Prosium I, which destroys their capacity of feeling anything. Satisfied by John's response, Dupont lets him go, after which John investigates and identifies that Errol, his longtime partner and best friend, has become a sense offender. John hunts down Errol in the Nether. The Nether is all the regions outside Libya. Errol is reading a classic poem book by W.B. Yeats. John confronts Errol as he has committed a severe crime by reading poetry. John executes Errol without any trial after that. But before he shoots Errol, he argues that with Libya, they've stopped murders and war. John's new partner Andrew Brandt witnesses the execution. He admires John because of his talents. John coldly leaves him for the night. At night in his dreams, John dreams of his wife, who was arrested by the government for sense offending, and after that, she was burned alive as her punishment. He starts missing his wife for the first time in 4 years. After that, John accidentally drops his morning dose of medication. His son instructs him to go to Equilibrium and get a replacement dose. But when John reaches Equilibrium, he finds it closed due to terrorist activities, so he couldn't replace his dose. But a critical thing to remember is missing a dose for even a single time is illegal. John and his new partner Andrew then go on a raid the house of Mary O'Brien, who is a sense offender as she stopped taking her dose of Prosium I a long time ago. John commands Andrew to destroy her mirror frame, as it is an art piece, and after breaking down her walls, they find many illegal objects. These things can make humans feel emotion, which is illegal according to Equilibrium, the HQ of the Grammatons. Mary tries to shoot John but is intercepted by a guard. On the other hand, Andrew tries to attack Mary but is stopped by John, which indicates that he has already started feeling emotions without his dose. John interrogates Mary to find out who her partners are, but Mary counters him by asking why he lives, to which John says that he lives to serve. But Mary thinks that without emotions, without feeling any anger, sorrow, or happiness, human life is just a timer ticking away. In the next scene, Dupont is seen giving training to young clerics in the art of gun kata, a fighting style that involves a gun and increases the efficiency of the shooter. At night, John has trouble with sleep and nightmares. Waking up in the morning, he finds out that his heart is beating very fast and he feels an intense urge to see the sunlight, so tears his window coverings and watches the sunrise. This all shows that John is feeling all kinds of emotions now, as he is not taking his Prozium shots for a few days now. In the morning at the train station, John drops his vials and breaks them by walking over them. He starts noticing people very few in number, feeling the air, feeling the cold iron bars, etc., and he deduces that without touching anything, his life was nothing but a big lie. In his office, he starts rearranging his desk as he has done with all the uniformity. At that moment, Andrew comes to him to inform him that they need to go to a raid in the Nether as some sense offenders are hiding out in there. When they reach the Nethers, they are informed by the SWAT team commander that 100 fighters are holding out in the building. Andrew shoots a fighter in front of John's eyes, and he sees the life going out from the eye of the person, and the blood in his hand bothers him a lot. They kill all the resistance fighters after that. John finds out a hidden place where the resistance fighters stashed some art pieces like books, music, etc. John listens to Beethoven and cries for the first time in his life. He soon begins to stash away some books for reading, and when questioned about it by Andrew, he gives the excuse that he will log into the evidence-keeping department. The same excuse that Errol gave to Preston at the story's beginning. After that, they find out a group of dogs kept as pets by the resistance fighters. The cops start killing them all brutally. John saves a puppy from execution by telling them that they need to examine the puppy to find out whether there is any epidemic in the Nether region. John then talks to DuPont so that they can stop executing criminals without any trial. But DuPont stops him by saying that it is father's wish and his wish is the law. John starts going through Mary's confiscated stuff, and he soon starts building feelings for her. John then takes the puppy that he saved earlier to the Nether region. He wanted to leave the puppy there and come back to his city, but the puppy refuses to leave him as it is now loyal to him, so he puts it back in the trunk of his car. But suddenly, a group of security forces approach him and ask him for his identification. When John fails to satisfy them and they find out the puppy in the trunk, they understood that he is a sense offender, and John kills them all by applying his gun katana technique. When he returns home, he hides his doses behind the mirror in the washroom. The next day, John is informed by Andrew that the council decided to crack down on the resistance immoderately. Then they go on a raid and John is completely shocked by the brutal massacre he saw there. He tries to save a group of resistance fighters, but fails when Andrew traps them. Andrew offers John to kill the fighters and gives him his own gun, but John declines and keeps a poker face about it. Then John visits DuPont and asks his permission to find out about the underground resistance and destroy it once and for all. Later, John visits Errol's dead body and apologizes for everything. Then he obtains Errol's possessions that were with him at the time of his death. He finds a picture of him together with Mary. Then John interrogates Mary about Errol and informs her that John was the cleric who killed Errol. Hearing this, Mary tries to kill him with a fucking pencil, but John stops her before that, and he deduces that Errol and Mary are lovers. John then starts interrogating people about Errol, and one of them confesses to him that Errol used to visit the library with a guy named Jurgen. John finds out a hidden meeting room behind the library shelf and finds out Jurgen there. Jurgen takes John to the underworld, where the resistance fighters live. Jurgen takes John's polygraph test to see if he can feel it, and it seems like he is in love with Mary and has grown strong feelings for her. Jurgen suggests to John that only a few leaders can sacrifice their emotions so others can feel like John and Jurgen. John wants to help the resistance, to which Jurgen requests John kill father. Mary, on the other hand, is scheduled for summary combustion. She will be killed by burning. Jurgen advises John not to see her for the last time, as it will only make it difficult for him to carry out his mission. John tells Jurgen that 100 guards guard father, and to reach father, he will have to kill them all. Jurgen asks him if can he do that, to which John replies that he doesn't know. John watches the video of his wife Viviana getting sentenced and burned 4 years ago. He gets shocked by seeing himself standing behind his wife without any remorse at all. So, he starts running to reach Mary to save her. When he reaches her, he watches with pain and sorrow that his love of life, Mary, is already inside the chamber. He witnesses her burning with his own eyes. This breaks John finally. He breaks down into tears in the street without caring about the consequences of him getting caught. Cleric Andrew arrests him and mocks him in front of the whole crowd. He then takes John to DuPont, but there, after checking the serial number of the gun, it gets exposed that Andrew's gun was used in the execution of the security guards in the Nether region previously. John very smartly changed the gun while giving it back to him. So, Andrew gets arrested and sentenced to summary combustion, and John requests an audience with the father as the reward for his successful work. DuPont replies that father never meets with anyone for security reasons, as the law requires John's house is searched for unused doses of prosium I. John rushes to his house to find it before the cops, but when he removes the mirror he finds out that the doses are not there. His son Robbie Preston approaches him and shows him the doses, implying that he too is off the doses for a long time. When does John ask him how long? Robbie tells him since his mom died. Robbie also tells John that John's daughter Lisa Preston is also off the doses. John then arrests all the resistance top leaders, including Jurgen, and surrenders them to the grammatons. As a reward for his bravery and outstanding performance, John is given an audience with the father himself. When John reaches equilibrium in his completely white military uniform as a sign of his seniority and as an acknowledgement of his superiority, he is first told by the proctor to surrender his sword. Then he is said that he will have to undergo a polygraph test for safety reasons. Andrew then comes in front of John and tells him that his treachery is already known to the grammatons, and they have let John think that he was winning as it was the grammatons' plan all along. DuPont reveals to John that father died 20 years ago, and the council elected DuPont as the new ruler. It is also implied that both DuPont and Andrew are off the doses themselves, which shows the hypocrisy of the whole situation. John is then mocked for his failure. Suddenly, John brings out his handgun hidden on his body and starts fighting all the 100 guards guarding father. He quickly slaughters all of them, applying his superior gun kata technique. He reaches DuPont's chamber and fights off more warriors with samurai swords and finishes them all. Finally, he kills Andrew with just 3 swift swings, proving that he was the best of all the clerics. DuPont and John then engage in an epic gun katana battle as both of them are fellow clerics. But John finally kills DuPont even when he begs for his life, by paying homage to Errol that he will gladly pay the price. John then kills all the guards of the control center and destroys all the computers which were broadcasting father's propaganda. John then watches the city that all the prosium factories are getting blown away by the resistance fighters and all the cops are killed by the resistance. John gets emotional as he fulfilled his duty to humanity and has set them free once again, but he quickly controls his emotion, implying that even without prosium eye shots, John is now absolutely in charge of his emotions. But eventually, he becomes the champion of the underground resistance and fights for them. Killing father, he becomes the new benevolent leader of Libria.